Yeah, and at Twitter, we were lucky. I always say that we were lucky to be involved in the sport industry, but from a very unique angle and unique perspective that allow us to get a very cool insight on how consumption was evolving, and we've seen that. How have you seen that model evolving? Because you were fundamental to probably the first big media rights deal with a big tech platform, which was the NFL.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about?
You know what? I don't know if you remember, but before then, I mean, one, at that time, 2011, 2012, 2013, Twitter was like the cool social platform.
Yeah.
And every rights holder, every publisher had to use Twitter in some form or fashion. Real-time news, real-time updates. Your players are actually tweeting things that you might like, that you might not like, but your players are using Twitter as a way to connect directly with fans and brand build. And users began to go to Twitter first to get real-time information about the team instead of the app, instead of picking up the remote control, or instead of going to the website. So we became the first touch point that brands and media properties have with their fans. That was a very unique competitive advantage. We were the first stop for all brands. I'd say we were the global sports bar. So up until then, I mean, especially the work you were leading internationally, like getting players on, getting publishers on, getting media companies on, teams, leagues, all of that, and not only getting them onto the platform, but getting them to understand how Twitter can help them achieve their business objectives. So in 2016, as you referenced, we struck a deal with the National Football League to simulcast Thursday night football games on the platform. That fundamentally changed how we worked with rights holders, because at that point, the model had changed. We weren't just providing white glove service to people who wanted to use Twitter. We now became a channel that you could actually use commercially. That was a game changer, and it didn't exist anywhere in social, if you recall. So now we're licensing content, and we're helping top tier sports publishers monetize their content on social. That was like a mind-blowing thing at the time. And you were scaling it at ex-US, and I was working on the team who was tasked with doing it in the US. And as a result of what we built, what we called Amplify at the time, we were able to build a real business off of companies and pairing them with brands on Twitter, in addition to the day-to-day marketing support that we provided. So that, man, I feel so privileged to have been on the front lines of that, because we created a new model, man. We created a new model, and it allowed publishers to think about social in very different ways, you know?
Yeah, and we created a new model that today still is not there yet.
That's
but
right.
The old model, what is clear is that the old model of classic media rights, linear TV distribution, it's going through stress. And I say this a lot. We still have not break into the new model 100%.
That's right.
How are you seeing this transition?
Yeah, man. So we've talked about this idea of cord cutting forever, and the role that big tech plays in fan consumption habits. As it currently stands, as you mentioned, we haven't quite fully entered into the new media, but I don't know if we'll ever know what that looks like. Because as it currently stands, we have traditional broadcasts that are still really important, and they still generate tons of eyeballs. There are people that will always pick up their remote control to watch live anything, particularly live sports. In parallel, you have Amazon, you have Apple, you have YouTube, you have big tech playing a major role in rights acquisition and content distribution. We've never lived in this. Additionally, you have social, who was saying, okay, we're gonna serve as the glue between linear and fandom and these big tech platforms, because you're gonna get your short form content here. You're gonna get your viral content here. The athletes that are playing on the pitch, they're actually gonna create content. So there's this flywheel that occurs, and it's all fueling fan consumption. And historically, we've been very, very accustomed to, okay, the one-to-one, live broadcast, athlete, fan, that's it. Now there's so many different touch points, and we're all trying to make sense of it. And I don't know if anybody will ever have the answer, but I think our experience on the platform side has allowed us to have a really unique and really comprehensive perspective of how fans want to consume sports. Fans don't want to consume sports the same way they did. No. And if you're working with a franchise leader or team owner or a rights holder, the ways of the past are no longer the ways of the future. No. Sports marketing has completely changed. As we said, broadcast has completely changed. Live sports has completely changed. Fan engagement has completely changed. So if you're living in yesterday, you're not going to work. You know, you have to really embrace innovation. You have to embrace disruption. And you have to really have a lot of perspectives across. And that's one of the things that we're so fortunate. We know people at Meta, we know people at TikTok, we know people at broadcast, we know people at teams. And it really takes this kind of comprehensive perspective to understand the right way to guide teams, to guide franchises, whoever. It's a tricky time, but it's fun because nobody has the answers.